So the last thing I'd like to show you is just a few of the levy facts, things that come up occasionally when I'm quizzed about, what are levies all about. By state law, if you look at the fifth bullet down, sometimes people think that we can collect more money later, but it's very important to note that once we put that amount on the ballot, which in this case is the $5,092,2012 and the $250,000, those are two separate ballots that will come to voters. Once we put that amount in ballot language, we can collect no more than that over the life of these levies, which is 4 years. I also want to point out in the back, the very back page, you'll see that the first question is, what's the difference between a bond and a levy? And you may recall that a couple of years ago, 2008, we did take a bond to our voters. It was not approved. But the difference between that election and the upcoming election is that was a bond and not a levy. That bond was for, so you think about B for bond equals buildings. So that's a facilities issue. Whereas levies start with an L, and those are all things that are used for learning. So we are just doing levies for learning in this next election. So with that, I would take any questions if you have any. Good. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Teresa. If you've got some of these we can pick up tomorrow when we're at our meeting over at your office, I'd be happy to bring them back and have them available on the information tables here at City Hall.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Roger.
My name is Roger Daniels. I live in I'm proud to say I live in Washougal, Washington. I'm also proud to say that I'm a Washougal High School graduate. And Molly Costin is also helping us with the maintenance and operations levy. And John Russell serves on the board of directors of the Washougal Schools Foundation, as does Ernie Suggs, wherever Ernie is. I can be a little bit more partisan than Teresa, and she did a very good job representing our maintenance and operations levy. This is what I would say to you. We're asking for less money over the next 4 years than what we've collected it'll be 4 years in 2010. We have 3 measures that were approved 4 years ago: maintenance and operations levy, transportation levy, and the technology fee. We are not asking for transportation, so that's less over the next 4 years. And in technology, we're asking for less money. And we're asking for the same amount of money collected for maintenance and operations. It represents 18% of the budget in order for us to maintain our current level of service. This is very important and essential to the Washougal School District. So, and when you study taxes, you know that there's a regressive tax, that over the life of the levy collected, that the tax payments go down. You have a level tax, and then you have a progressive tax. I think we are the only school district in Clark County that is asking for a flat tax. All the other districts, it's progressive. Each year into the bond, there's more money. So I think our school board is being very responsible, asking for less money, flat tax, trying to maintain our current level of service. Thank you very much.
Any other members of the public? Mrs. Terrell.
It might surprise you to know that I'm not here to talk about J Street. I have one of your young ladies has photocopied this for me, for you, and I hope that you'll read it carefully later on. I know you're discussing E Street, which is a very important matter. I am particularly interested in talking about the traffic light at 17th. I am very much in favor of roundabouts, but I don't think that's the place for one. I wonder if you have considered reconfiguring or what programming or whatever the term is for the traffic lights. Time and time again, I've sat there as we go, you go, they go, I go, you go, and surely to God, it's possible, everybody else does it, to get lights that, do this. I don't know what it costs to do that, but that's got to be cheaper than the roundabout. The second thing is, my brother sent this to me 5 years ago, and it fascinated me so much I've kept it. And I'm going to read a first couple of paragraphs for the benefit of the audience. The title is Naked Streets Sounds Crazy, but it just might work. It was in a Toronto newspaper. Imagine for a moment a busy downtown intersection with no traffic lights, signs, or sidewalks. Excuse me. There are no markers on the ground, no speed bumps, no police officer conducting the flow of vehicles. There's not even a curb. Every element of traffic, pedestrians, bikers, and drivers is left to fend for itself. Sounds like a recipe for chaos, right? Wrong. The implementation in a number of European communities of what some have dubbed naked streets has been hugely successful. Urban planners in Holland, Germany, and Denmark have experimented with this free-for-all approach to traffic management and have found it is safer than the traditional model, lowers trip times for drivers, and is a boost for the businesses lining the roadway, which is a concern on East Street for sure. A little bit more you get here. The idea is that by removing traffic lights, signage, and sidewalks, drivers and pedestrians are forced to interact, make eye contact, and adapt to the traffic instead of relying blindly on whether that little dot on the horizon is red or green. Planners have found that without the conventional rules and regulations of the road in place, drivers tend to slow down, open their eyes to their environment, and develop a feel for their surroundings. In effect, every person using the street, be it an SUV owner or a kid with a wagon, becomes equal. That's enough of that. Please read it carefully for me, for us, because we don't have a lot of money to fool around with East Street, but it does need our attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Terrell. Yes.
Officer Ritchie asked me to point out that there's a silver SUV parked in the fire lane that needs to be moved or so they get ticketed, if it's anybody in here.
Thank you, Eric. Other members?
I'm just gonna talk from here, I'm sure you'll hear me, but I got a bad sinus infection going on. Jeff Guard, 4105 Gifford Place, and again, what Marilyn was saying, they do that in a lot of European countries too, as far as not having any traffic control, and it actually is working for them. But something, something other than a roundabout, at one time I was down there, I just don't see it fit. So I just encourage the council and the decision makers to start looking at some things on that plan, such as bike lanes. Why are we putting bike lanes down the main business strip in town? What should they be down here on B Street, C Street? Some things like that. And don't forget, take the 5,000 foot up view of this too. East Street goes all the way out to 32nd where it turns into Evergreen Drive, but it also extends all the way out to the city limits and takes in Jempty Guard School. And we owe that to those kids out there that transfers not only to Jempty Guard but also to the high school and to Gauze. I live in that area and you see an awful lot of people using that throughout the year because the ball fields are out there as well. So there's another intersection out there at 32nd and E that is also failing. I'll guarantee you that because I'm in that every night, and sometimes we're backed up clear out into the freeway, or not the freeway, the highway 14. If you look in your 6-year TIP as recently as late 2005, the 27th Street was scheduled to be tied in with the Highway 14 work and put in another overpass and tie into the half-diamond interchange that they proposed at 27th. So I know that can't be included in this plan, but keep that in mind for the future. And then I also encourage you to continue pursuing those funds for the rest of Highway 14, because I know they're going to be starting work out there pretty soon, aren't they, Lloyd? On Highway 14?
So I am told.
Yeah, well, we got, that's phase one. There's a phase two that needs to be involved. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at East Street. Take that big picture look at it out there, and see how that ties into our entire transportation plan, including Highway 14. And that, believe me, I call that a failed intersection of 32nd and Evergreen.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Michael?
Good evening. I'm Michael Rothschild. I live in Washougal, Washington. First, I'd like to congratulate all the people, all the members who got sworn in tonight. I'd especially like to welcome our